Welcome back to the show, girls. Today we have Miss Natasha with us. She's a Canadian lady that at the time of the recording had been a dancer for 4 shifts. So she was brand new and she has some great advice for girls just getting started. She thought about becoming a dancer for 3 years before she finally decided it was time to go in. And she says her biggest regret is not going in sooner. So do yourself a favor if you've been waiting and get going. We talk about acting at work, being yourself, playing a role, adapting to what the man is looking for. She talks about quizzing her customers. We discuss how nervous she was her first night and way before even going in, how alcohol played a role in helping her chill out, but also the importance of not relying on alcohol. We talk about club atmospheres and how different they can be. If you're not comfortable at a club, keep looking because all clubs are not alike and they're definitely not all ran the same or have the same type of clientele. Don't be afraid to search for one that you really like. We talk about schedules, making money on and off the clock, how working in a club will raise your confidence to a new level or place that you probably didn't know existed. We talk about safety and much, much more. This is a great interview, especially for anyone that hasn't started yet. I've had a couple of girls tell me that they're looking for longer episodes to listen to while they're in the bathtub or working out, and I would say this makes for the perfect episode. The intro is a bit rough. We were having some connection issues, so I don't start it off too properly, but we get around to it. Thanks for listening. I hope you get a ton of value from this, and thanks again, Natasha, for being a part of the movement to freedom for girls that need the help. We're in this together, and I appreciate your time incredibly. All right, enjoy.
Hello.
Hey, that's better.
Yeah, much better there.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for getting on the phone with me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
What's your stage name?
Natasha.
Natasha, that's cute. How did you come up with that?
I'm involved with some groups on Facebook that are like all women, and I just kind of posted some of my photos, and I just said, what would you see me as if I wasn't my actual name? And so I kind of did that, and I asked them my actual friends, and Natasha was quite often, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I don't know if you have heard this or not, and not that it necessarily matters, but apparently dancers are starting more and more to use actually believable real names as opposed to bubbles or, whatever, something silly, something that's obviously not a real person's name. So how long have you been dancing for?
So tonight will be my 4th night.
Oh, okay. Let me just go ahead and introduce you real quick. Everybody, this is Natasha. Natasha's brand new to dancing, and again, thank you so much for doing this. I've just started to reach out to girls and be like, hey, you're new. Would you like to talk about your experience? Because so many girls don't want to get into this industry because they're afraid, and they really have no idea. They have no idea at all what they're getting into or what things could be like. So, why did you decide to start stripping?
Well, I've been, pondering the idea for quite some time. A few years. I like to research a lot of things. I like to go in at least a little bit prepared, as much as I can in almost any situation. So, I guess it's just kind of like the freedom that really speaks to me, and as well as, obviously, the money.
Yeah. How did you know that freedom and money were going to be involved?
I think just from sort of watching everyone on YouTube, and then I guess just kind of I've been to I would go to strip clubs and I would kind of talk to them and just ask them questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I also like dancing too, right? I like
that's good. That's very helpful.
Art of seduction, right?
Yeah. There's a book called The Art of Seduction. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
Girl, you got to check it out. It's fucking awesome. There's this guy named Robert Greene that wrote this book, and I think there's I don't know if it was 7 or 9 main types of seduction, but all of us have one that's inherent in who we are, and mine is not necessarily the right one to use in a strip club, I don't think. The main one I think to shoot for is the siren, which is basically the Marilyn Monroe type girl. Have you experimented with that when you go in to work? How do you act? Do you play a role completely, or so far are you still kind of like yourself but at work? Or have you thought about it much?
I would say almost both.
Okay.
So I kind of play it like per customer basis. So there's some guys that they want to feel like they're the king, and so obviously I try to obviously make everyone. I try to like accommodate everyone, like what everyone's looking for.
Yeah.
But then there's some guys that like you to be the boss and you to tell them what to do. So I really try to play into that.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
I mean, myself, most of the time I've been approached. Like I haven't even really had to do much.
That's
in order
awesome.
to like get dances. Guys just come to me, so it's
okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're doing something in particular to make guys approach you?
Maybe my style. From listening to your videos last night, I actually just asked some people why they came to me or like what made me stand out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they said that it's like my style, the way that I carry myself. It's intriguing. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
That was kind of what I gathered when you said that, is you maybe have a very open type of style, like a very how do I say this? Well, enticing is the word that comes to mind. I'm not sure how else I could frame that. Do you catch yourself looking at customers and kind of like eyeing them like, hey, you can come over here?
Yeah. I'll walk through the club and I'll just like notice guys looking at me, so I'll shoot them a little smile, and you know what I mean, like just a sexy little smile.
Yeah.
And I carry on doing what I'm doing, and then come back and have a chat, like go and chat with them, or they approach me, or whatever.
Interesting. So tell me about your first night. How did you feel?
Oh goodness, I was so nervous. Like, oh my goodness. Even when I was like buying lingerie, just the actual thought of like, oh my god, okay, I'm actually doing this. Like getting my nails done. I haven't had fake nails since like grade 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm very, very active. I do a lot of sports, so. Well, not sports. I go to the gym and I rock climb and stuff like that. But
that's awesome.
So like even just getting my nails done, like going to pick out shoes, like I was shaking.
Oh my god.
Then, yeah, it was something. But then you know what? I went in there and the manager made me feel so comfortable. I scouted out a couple clubs, and the one club I went to, as soon as the girls knew what I was there for, they were just like giving me dirty love. Like I just, you know what I mean? Like they weren't welcoming, whereas this club, not that, everyone was like really super smiley and stuff like that, but they were definitely a lot more nice and approachable, so that was, yeah. And then I know that you shouldn't rely on alcohol, but
no.
I did do a couple shots just to kind of ease the nerves of it.
Did it help?
Yes. Oh yeah. Incredibly. Yeah. I mean, yeah, just to calm myself down and relax a bit, for sure.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know exactly what you mean. The only reason I tell girls not to do it, to rely on it, is because I ended up taking it way too far. I mean, way too far. But that's over an accumulation of lots of years and just way too much drinking. So, but yeah, okay, that's really, I don't know. I think that could be important to hear. Just a couple of shots can help me, because it does. It really can. I mean, even just a glass of wine can make you incredibly relaxed, as opposed to, I don't know necessarily that wine's a good one to do at work, because I don't want to say it can make you slower, but it is a lot thicker. What did you drink?
I just do straight shots of whiskey.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I do. And I do think it is important, though, to really, emphasize, not relying on alcohol, because I know myself personally, I actually have, 2 other jobs. But my one job is I'm a bartender. And, so over the course of a couple of years, I managed to pick up a little bit of a habit. No, definitely a habit, and it's just not healthy. So try not to rely on it. It does ease the nerves, but just leave it at that and don't take it further.
Yeah, I think that's really good that you emphasize that, because alcohol can be, it can, especially in the entertainment kind of industry, especially if they push it on you, because a lot of clubs will make the dancers say yes, which is totally wrong. Yeah, which is totally wrong. Wow. I mean, it's not, Yeah. I got to the
Is
point.
that
What's that?
is that like an American? Like I don't know. Maybe I haven't because I haven't been to that many clubs, but
Oh, that's right.
that's terrible.
You're in Canada, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. How much are your dances there?
$20.
$20. Does the club keep a portion of that or?
Not this club.
Oh, that's good.
So you do have to pay to get into the VIP room, but again, I mean it's cheap too. It's like $10 for the week, and then Friday and Saturday it's $20. But then that gives you access all night.
What?
And then yeah, you keep all your money. Whereas the other club that I would be licensed to go to as well, they do take 10%.
Now, is that just of VIP rooms or is that of all your dances?
All your money.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really good that you pointed out also that you went to a couple was it a couple that the girls weren't very inviting and you didn't feel comfortable and then you found a club that you did like?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome because man, environment makes God, it can make such a big difference. I've had managers make my life hell. I've had yeah, and the clientele can range radically too at different clubs.
Yeah.
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 So, what was your audition like?
We don't audition here.
What?
Yeah. So, well, the clubs that I've been to, no. I mean, basically, all I had to do was send a photo, and then they let you know if they would like you to dance there, and then you go on about your schedule.
Wow, that's awesome. So, what is your schedule like there?
Well, I'm freelance, so I just come and go whenever I want.
That's awesome. Was that all
Yeah,
clubs?
the one that I've been going to, I don't know if there's any girls that are like on the books. I think that we're all just kind of freelance, but the other club, they do have a schedule.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that ranges here too. There's some clubs you can come and go whenever you want. Do you have an hourly time frame that you have to stay in? Like if you go to work, do you have to stay for 4 hours or can you leave whenever you want?
No, I think you can just go whenever you want.
Dude, that's perfect. That's how it should be. I mean, that really is how it should be. If the club isn't paying you to be there, they really should let you leave whenever you. I think legally they should let you leave whenever you want, but some places don't do that. So
Do you have to be there for a certain amount of time at the club you work at?
it depends. It honestly depends on which. So right now I'm not working at any place. The last place I was at was in San Francisco, and they oh god, it was crazy. I wanted to work day shift, so I came in on day shift, and if you were there by 12 o'clock, by noon, if you were on the floor by noon, they would only, right, which is still crazy, take 20% of your money and you would keep 80% of it. But if you came in 10 minutes, this is what I heard. I never showed up late, so I don't know. If you came in 10 minutes after 12, they would take 40% of your money. Yeah, 40%. And you were supposed to set a schedule every week. So I think it was on Sunday, they would come up to you and give you a piece of paper that you're supposed to fill out. And you're supposed to fill out like 3 days a week. I think it was 3 that you're supposed to be there for the following week. But I got to the point that I was writing 1 day in there. And then if I wanted to show up otherwise outside of that time frame, then I would just show up and I would be there before 12 and I would still get to keep X amount of my money. The laws in California are awful. I've never worked in Canada though. I don't know. Do you have to use a social security number there or anything?
Certain areas you are required to have a license. So I had to go and get my license. They wouldn't accept my social security number at all.
Why?
I had to provide a passport. I have no idea. So I had to provide a passport, birth certificate, or driver's license.
So, okay, so you don't have to audition. That's awesome. So your first day, you showed up. Walk us through what happened. What was it like?
My first day, I showed up. I went and spoke with the manager. It was, again, him just, like, making me feel comfortable, filling out some paperwork. Then I went and got ready. And then I did some shots. And he was like, if you need anything, come and get me. Or if you want to just hang out for a second, just come and get me. It's fine, you know. But then I had a couple shots, and then I went and started talking to people. I'm trying to think of what even, like, really happened. I haven't had to go on stage yet.
What?
I almost had to go on last night.
You've worked
Because
4
that's like what
shifts and you haven't had to go on stage once yet?
not yet, no.
Holy cow, how many girls work at your club?
Um, there's actually like a fair amount. But then some nights, like last night, we were kind of like down dancers. So the manager was the one who said, listen, like if you don't want to dance for like the first 5 times, like that's fine. So that way you can just sort of watch the girls, see how they're moving and that sort
Oh,
of
I
stuff.
see. Okay, so that's the reason why you haven't been up yet. I thought they had so many girls that you just hadn't been called in rotation yet. I was like, holy cow, I've never.
Oh no.
Okay.
But I almost had to go on last night. So I told the DJ that, what the manager said. He was just like, sorry, he lied to you. So I'm like, okay, trying to get ready. So unfortunately, I then did quite a few shots. And so then when I was coming up to be my turn, I went up and talked to him and he said, don't worry about it. I made it so that you don't have to go on tonight. So I was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much.
Yeah.
But I was like, I've already done so many shots that I'm like, maybe I should just do it. And he was like, okay, well, if they're like at a certain point in the night, like if you want to come and dance, then come and talk to me and I'll get you up there. So by the time I was ready, it was like all the girls they were done. So like the last girl was on stage and he wasn't putting anyone else up. So I was like, okay, shoot. But I might go on tonight. Like I'm hoping it's not. I mean, I hope it's busy, but just for the sake of like my anxiety, I'm hoping it's not too busy, and then that way I can go on and kind of practice and do my first stage dance. So just to get it done and over with, because I feel like that's really like what has my nerves the most.
Yeah, it's funny how when you go through with something and you actually do it, you realize, wow, that really wasn't that bad. But building it up in your mind, that's the kicker right there. Like you going in and having your So what was your first day like? You said you don't really remember most of how it went, like exactly, but what did you think?
It was good.
Good. That's great to hear.
So there are some rules, but they're minimal. The managers usually like make the girls dance a few times throughout the week, or like come to the club a few times like throughout the week before they get to work the weekend. And I had my first night on a Thursday, and then so at the end of the night I went and like said thanks to the manager, and he said that I could come back on the weekend. So he said he'd like been watching me, and I was doing great. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a nightly house fee?
Yes. So we have weird hours. So it's like we open at like 9 or 9:30, then we close at 2:30, and then we open 4 o'clock on Friday. Now I don't know about Friday, but every other night, if you're there before, I think it is 9 or 9:30, it's $35. Then anytime after that, it's $55.
And that's it? What time is the latest you can get there?
I don't think it really matters.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm on my way to work right now. I am running much later than I wanted.
Yeah. You got a crazy long drive. An hour and a half is super far.
Yeah, my actual residential area, unfortunately, like, we aren't allowed to have strip clubs. It's very, very conservative. And, yeah, we're not allowed to have strip clubs, so there aren't, like, any. This is probably one of the closest ones.
Wow. Yeah, that's super far. I was really surprised when you said that. How do you feel when you get off work? Are you still kind of awake? Are you tired, or?
I feel like there's been a couple nights that I was, like, maybe 1 or 2 nights that I was really tired.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait to get home. But then other times I was, like, pretty happy. I mean.
So you've worked every single day since you started. You started on Thursday, right?
Yeah, except for Friday.
Wow, girl, that's amazing. How did your body feel the next day? Did you feel sore? Did you feel all right?
Definitely sore.
Yeah.
But I also, like, I mean, I'm not too bad because I also, like, I stretch and I go to the gym. So there's a lot of stretching involved. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'd have to take a real beating for me to, like,
stretching is.
But of course, like, wearing heels, like, all night, that's.
Yeah, what size do you have? Are they 6-inch? Are they 7-inch or higher, shorter?
The ones are 6-inch, and then the other ones are like nearly 7 inches.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable in the 7-inch ones, or?
Yeah, definitely. And the brands that I use, it makes it so much easier because they're not so, like, there's a platform on them, and there's, like, the incline isn't so steep, right? Just like a basic black pair. and a clear pair. Like I would say, like so the heel is like about 6-7 inches, and then the platform is about 2 inches, two and a bit.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot easier. I find anyway.
Yeah, when I first started out, I was in regular high heels, and I was kind of worried to buy stripper heels because they looked so tall. But then when I finally got some, I got some with a fairly thick heel, and I felt totally comfortable. There was no wobbling or anything like that, so it seemed to work out.
So much better.
Yeah. Is your club topless? Is it nude?
It's nude.
It is nude. Wow, you started off at a nude club. I'm very surprised. How did you feel the first time you took off your clothes? Were you super nervous or?
No, not really. I'm pretty open in general. Like, I'm mostly naked at my house all the time anyways.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I mean, like, of course there's always those insecurities and stuff like that, but at the same time, too, I mean, it's just recognizing that we're all different.
Yeah.
You know, we all have, there's flaws about everyone, you know what I mean? But when you're in the club, like, guys are coming to you, and like, as you've said in many videos, like, it's a huge confidence builder. Like, I don't have low self-esteem to begin with, but, like, even on top of that, it's just so nice. I mean, of course, I'm humble, but I do love myself, you know what I mean? I work hard, I go to the gym, so I do take pride in that.
Yeah.
But it's just, like, when guys come to you, I mean, they're coming to you, you know what I mean? So
right.
It's not, yeah, it's just a huge confidence boost.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've noticed a lot. I mean, it's like guys are different beings inside of a strip club and outside of a strip club. Like, I just don't think that they, for the most part, would ever treat a girl the same outside of a strip club as they would inside of a strip club. Like, the way that they interact, I've found, is, I mean, they're totally open with just being like, wow, like, you're super beautiful. When somebody wouldn't say that necessarily outside, or even kind of look at you the same way as they would otherwise. So
honestly, I completely agree. I have dealt with, I mean, obviously, like, guys proposition you, whatever, it is what it is. I don't get offended about it. I just say no, and that's it. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
My other job that I'm a bartender at, I've had men be so much more disrespectful and vulgar at my bartending job than I have at the strip club.
Interesting.
Like, guys are so sweet there.
Yeah. I wonder
and they're just praising you.
Yeah, I wonder what the difference is. It feels like, and I know I'm not the only girl to notice this. I've heard it multiple times. It's like the power dynamic switches inside of strip clubs. For some reason, it's like the women in the strip club have all the power. And I've noticed that at bars, it does seem like, I don't know, men are more degrading and more just, I don't know how to describe it, but in a strip club, it just feels like they treat you better. And they give you money.
I wonder, yeah, I honestly think it's because, yeah, we kind of, like, of course we're there to be their fantasy and please them, but at the same time, they're coming to us for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if they're going to be assholes or dicks about stuff, okay, bye. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to come in here and treat us like that.
Right.
Whereas in the real world, there aren't any real repercussions because they do get to. You know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes their friends will also laugh along with them and think it's funny. And then they've now got that reward or that validation that they, I don't know, you know, that they feel they've done great by degrading us or something like that. Whereas in the club, we do have that power.
Right.
We are kind of the show dollars.
Plus, you can just walk away. Like, in a bartending job, if you have somebody sitting at the bar, you can't ask, well, maybe you can. I don't know if you can ask him to leave or not, but for the most part, I don't think, like, I waited tables for way too long, and I couldn't ask my tables to leave if I didn't like them, you know? They were there, and I had to wait on them. But in a strip club, if somebody is even kind of rude or looks at you funny or says anything you don't like, you can literally just stand up and walk away and have, you know, absolutely no repercussions from that. It's just like, okay, well, I really have no desire to talk to you, so I'm just going to go ahead and go. I mean, you don't even need to say it. You can just get up and walk away. So, yeah, it does feel totally different.
See, I'm pretty lucky in the sense of, like, the bar that I work at. We too, like, call the shots sort of there. Obviously, like, you have to be professional and you have personable skills and stuff like that, but yeah, if someone's being an asshole, like, that does not fly.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Whereas I have had other jobs where, the customer is 100% right all the time, and you can't, you know what I mean? You can't do anything about it.
Right.
So yeah, I've experienced both of those worlds, really.
So you work 2 other jobs, bartending, and what's the other one?
The other one, I work with someone who is he's not a young man. He's about almost 30, and he just kind of has, like, social challenges and academic delays.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just kind of take him to do fun stuff and interact in public and stuff like that.
Do you think that stripping is going to get you to the point that you want to walk away from either of those, or from both of them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right now, I am in the process of my one bar job. Like, unfortunately, we get, like, our schedule, like, a month in advance. So
oh, my God.
It's pretty insane. It's, especially in the summer, it's hard to plan anything or have, like, because you don't know when the weather's going to be nice and stuff like that. So that kind of sucks. And I'm just kind of over it, like, exactly, like, as I said, I mean, I have been spoken to more disrespectfully at the bar, and not even just, like disrespectfully, but also, like, explicitly vulgar. Like, things that, even if, like, my boyfriend said them to me, like, I might be like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just, I'm just over it. So over it. I'm so over, yeah.
Can I ask?
Till my schedule is up.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm just waiting till my schedule is up, and it's because my manager is one of my great friends, so I don't want to leave her hanging.
Yeah.
But that way she has a month to find someone, and then I think I'm actually gonna, like, probably, like, start to look at closer to here.
Looking at clubs closer to you?
Well, no, like, moving close to the club that I work at.
Oh,
so
yeah.
in the area. Yeah.
That's a great idea, honestly, especially if you're drinking, because I hate to say it, but it's dangerous. It's super dangerous.
Very, very much so.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you could figure out a way to cut yourself off at, like, midnight or something like that, so that you know for sure. There's little things that you can plug into your phone to see where your alcohol content level's at. Not that, just throwing it out there. I don't know that you'd be interested in getting it or not, but I've heard that there's little plugins for your phone that you can, I don't even know which kind of phones. I don't know if it's Android or iPhone or whatever, but definitely something to consider, because you are super far from your job. That's really far. Can I ask?
Oh, yeah.
Can I ask what the difference in money is from bartending to stripping? Is it a significant difference?
Yes, I do make pretty good money bartending, but it's not as consistent, I would say. Like, and kind of like when you measure, like, what you have to put up with at the bartending job as opposed to here.
Yeah.
I mean, you go and spend 10 minutes with someone, that's $60 right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas sometimes, because not only do I have to share my tips with, like, the other bartenders, I mean, it's not just one. Sometimes it's, like, 2 or 3 other bartenders.
Oh, damn.
And then, yeah. So if we've had, like, a really slow day, and of course, it's, like, you would know, like, waitresses and bartenders get paid less than, because we rely on tips, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, like, it's not consistent. Like, the other day I worked, and I was, like, I think I made $75 or something like that, which, I mean, is better than minimum wage, you know what I mean? But
right.
I was like, I had just worked at the club the night before, and I was like, I made this in, like, 10 minutes last night.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. That's so awesome to hear.
Yeah, so it's money for sure. Time and money, right? Like,
yeah. Would you mind sharing what your best night's been so far? If you don't want to, that's totally cool.
Yeah, how much I've made?
Yeah.
I think it was last night, and it was probably around 500 or 600.
See, look at that. You don't even remember if it was 500 or 600. That's the amazing thing about stripper money, is it's like, You can legitimately not realize if it was $500 or $600 when if it was your other job, it wouldn't have been, I mean, that might have been, that $100 might have been your whole shift.
Literally.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating. And so many people just don't know that. How did you feel the first night you looked down at all your money?
Oh, I loved it. I love money.
I do too.
I really, really love money.
Yeah.
So when I have like a nice wad in my hand and like my wallet is just popping,
yeah,
I love that. You know, and then going and depositing a big chunk into the bank.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling. Like there's no, and it's security, right? Like it's just
very much.
You feel good when you feel secure.
Yeah.
And money provides that.
Yeah, it does. It does. There's, you maybe you've heard the term before, fuck you money, where it's basically like, you don't need anything from anybody because you know for sure you're fine no matter what because you have money. Not necessarily.
And what was that?
I've heard it called fuck you money, and it's basically like you don't need anything from anyone. So you're basically not in a vulnerable position because you don't need to be. You've got enough resources that no matter what anyone says or does, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, it's
absolutely.
Definitely peace of mind. That's for sure. It's definitely peace of mind. And you know, something I've noticed about stripping is it is a skill. It's a real skill. And when you travel, let's say you were to get robbed and someone were to take all of your cash and like you were really screwed. You can find a strip club to go into and make money that day and you're going to be fine. It's an extremely helpful.
Reliable.
Yes, very reliable. Yeah, because there's strip clubs everywhere. I feel like there's strip clubs everywhere. Maybe I haven't looked all over, but I feel like there's strip clubs everywhere. So, yeah, 500 or 600. That's awesome. That's super cool to hear. And you haven't even worked the weekend yet.
I work Saturday night, but in Canada, it's the long weekend. And so, to my knowledge, after talking with the other girls, long weekends kind of in general suck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a little unfortunate that, like, that was my first weekend. But it was a good weekend, I feel like, to start on.
Yeah.
You know? And, I mean, like I said, like, when was it? Saturday night. Yeah, yesterday was Sunday. So Saturday night, I literally didn't even, so I went and, so my, like, as soon as I got out on the floor, I went and spoke with one guy. Anyways, he didn't end up getting a dance, but the guys right beside him, the one guy wanted to dance, so I literally didn't even like move seats. It was just like,
oh my God.
And then after him, it was like other guys were coming up to me, and then like it was just like boom, 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 and before I knew it, like I was in the VIP room, and then the lights were being turned on, and I was like, oh my God, okay.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So you stayed busy like all night.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool to hear.
Yeah, it was definitely. And you know what? Like last night, I would have made so much more money had I not been so anxious and like trying to prepare to go on stage, because I literally spent so much time like in my own head.
Yeah.
You know, that like guys were literally, because I mean I have no problem approaching, like I don't just go in there and sit there and wait for people to come talk to me, absolutely not. But last night I was just so in my own head that I was like, but guys were coming up to me, so then that's when I would go and do a dance or whatever, right? But I would have made so much more money had I just like not built the anticipation so much.
Yeah. I think you're gonna be shocked. It's really not a big deal. Like, all the anxiety that you had before going in your first night, and it's kind of dissipated, I think it's going to be the exact same with you when you get on stage. Like, your first couple minutes, maybe you might be slightly intimidated, but I think as soon as you get up there, I think you're going to be like, oh, I got this. Like, no problem, I got this. Because so many girls talk about, oh, I don't have any experience on the pole. It really does not matter. It's just a prop. It's just a prop. You can use to dance around, you can use to dance with, like, it's not like you need to flip upside down and twirl and stuff like that. It's just a prop. It's just there. I've worked at clubs that don't even have a pole. I mean,
Really?
yeah, Dollhouse and Penthouse in Tampa, Florida, they don't even have a pole. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so it's really not a big deal at all. Something that I noticed for myself is I like to do floor work more so than be on the pole anyway. That pole, I don't want to say it can be dangerous, but it can be. Like climbing up
Yeah.
it and stuff like that can be dangerous. I hate to admit that, but girls that wear lotion and stuff like that, I mean, there's just I don't know, when you get on that thing, like we've got body weight. Like we're all at least probably going to be 100 pounds. So to slip on that thing is not going to be comfortable. So I like to do floor work mostly. And as long as you're careful, like arching your back a lot and stuff and bending over slowly and just moving slowly and making eye contact and rubbing yourself and stuff like that. I mean, it really does not take much to look sexy at all.
Hmm.
It it's
It's true.
yeah. What was your first dance
Yeah.
like?
Let me try to remember.
See, that's so amazing. You don't even remember already. It was 4 days ago. That's so I mean, but if it was busy, it makes sense. And this is exactly why I want to interview girls like right away because it's amazing how quickly all these customers start to just like blur together because you talk to so many people in a night. They can start to blur together. Did you have any
Absolutely. Like,
Yeah, did you have any customers that paid you a lot in particular that you were like, I really want to remember this guy?
um,
Not yet?
I don't. Yeah, I would say there are a couple, and then the night that unfortunately I got cut off in the VIP room, like I probably would have made a lot more money with that guy
What do you
had
mean
it
got cut
not been
off?
closing
Was the
time.
club closed?
Yeah, the club closed, all the lights turned on.
Yeah, there really should be some way that we can keep making money off of guys after clubs close because that's super unfortunate. I've made a ton of
Hmm.
money. I feel like if I had to peg a time that I've made the most money at any club, it's literally right before it closes. I mean, whatever
Yeah.
the closing time is, if it's 2 or if it's 4 or 5, like I feel like that's always been that last hour or two, I feel like has always been the best. I worked with this one girl a long time ago, and our club was closing, and she was dancing for some guys that did not want the night to be over. I think they were on vacation or something like that. And we ended up going, she asked me to come with her, and we all got paid. She asked me to come to some I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it was like an adult video store that also had a pool table in the back and then couches and stuff. And we went there and danced for these guys at this 24-hour place that we knew nobody was going to be in the back. We didn't get naked. We still had underwear on, but we still ended up making a lot of money off of them because we still had a place that we could be. Now, that might not have been, honestly, it might not have been the smartest idea because we had to drive there. So now they know what our cars look like and stuff like that. So potentially that could have really been a bad idea. But I don't know. In a lot of years of dancing, I have not had anybody from a strip club stalk me or give me a hard time at all. So I'm not saying that girls shouldn't be careful because you absolutely should be careful like at all times. And even I mean having guys or having bouncers and stuff walk you to your car I think is super important because you never know. I mean, some people are crazy, you never know, but that could be anywhere. That could be at the grocery
Yeah.
store. So just being aware and being careful is always, it's always good. Do you guys have bouncers that walk you to your car?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
I imagine if there was a night that I was feeling really unsafe or something like that, or something happened in the night, I'm sure safety measures like that would be taken.
Yeah.
But most of the time, by the end of the night, the club clears out. If you're still doing a couple dances, then that's really it.
Yeah.
Girls don't dance all the way to the end at the bar or at the club that I work at.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I promise you, if I don't know if so far if you've stayed until the very end, but I swear that's where I've made most of my money, and that's where it seems to be the easiest to get customers to say yes because it's like, well, okay, it's the end of the night, I'm going to go home, so
I just go around and ask everybody, like, because why
Mhm.
not? I mean, you're like, especially if you're one of the last people there, that was definitely, I did that all the time and it worked really consistently. So,
Honestly, I agree. Like in the 4 nights, well, this will be my fourth, so I've only technically worked 3 nights.
oh, okay, I thought this was
Um,
your fourth or fifth night. Never mind.
yeah, sorry, no, just my third night. But I agree. I have stayed till like close, and the last couple hours is when I've banged out the most money.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's because it's like, this is their last chance to have fun. So it's like,
Mhm.
why not? I wonder if our sales approach is different too, towards the end of the night. It's more like, hey, it's now or never kind of thing, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Do you feel like your sales pitch or whatever changes towards the end of the night?
I don't know if I would say that necessarily. I was actually going to ask you, like, so how do you transition from, like, having a conversation? How do you, like, do a transition to asking if a guy wants to dance?
It depends. So this is something that I really need to focus more on. When I first went back to dancing, because I took a long time off. When I first went back to dancing, I would just start to lay it on really hard and it worked right away. But then I thought about it when I left and I was like, what the hell did I do? Like, I feel like I need to go in and record my conversation with somebody. I don't even think that that would be legal, but I wouldn't put it online. I would just go and do it so that I could take notes. Do you do that when you go to sit down with somebody? Do you sit on their lap? Do you sit next to them? Does it vary?
I have sat on a couple guys' laps, but it's been at their request. Like, if I say,
Ah,
hey, do you mind if I take a seat? They'll say, yeah, sit down on my knee. So then I will, of course. Or I'll say, like, do you mind if I pull the chair? So if they say, yeah, pull the chair, like, take a seat, then that's what I do.
yeah.
Now I do, like, if we are having a good conversation, then yeah, I do get, I put my hand on their leg, or I touch their arm, or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like when you go in to do that is a good time to start transitioning into, hey, I'm going to ask you to dance soon. So, like if you're talking with somebody, going to put your hand like on their neck and leaning in and like looking at them like deep in the eye and just I mean, in some cases when it's like the conversation goes from lively to maybe he's starting to look around a little bit, or it's you don't really know what else to say next or something like that, that's kind of when I would just lean in and just be like, hey, I have something that I would like to show you, or hey, can you come with me? Or I've noticed for myself, it tends to be pretty abrupt. It's a pretty abrupt shift. Not really, and I don't even know why. And I don't think that it's necessarily the same with all of them, but in different clubs are different too. Like the club that I worked at in Florida, the hustle was super, super fast. I mean, you didn't sit down with somebody, you walked up to them. If they were standing, you walked up to them, put your arms around their neck and look them deep in the eye and just, I don't know, man, I've used all kinds of crazy lines. I would go into more along the lines of saying something either sexy or funny and then being like, I have something I'd really like to show you. And then moving them towards the dance area. But then in some clubs, it's like if you do it too fast, like it's just not normal. They're not used to that at all, which can be okay sometimes though. And if you go and you talk to a customer and you try to sell them right away and they say no, you don't need to get up and leave. You can sit there and then change the subject and start talking about something else and then try to sell them again. And then if they still say
Yeah.
no, you can change the subject again, start talking to him a little bit more, and then try him again. I talked to a manager that works at a hustler club, and he said that one of his highest money makers, she never acts like the guy said no. So like if he says no, she'll excuse herself, politely, like she'll finish up conversation, excuse herself, and then she'll come back. And she'll act like he never said no to her. And she'll just kind of start talking to him again. And be friendly and sexy and whatever, and then she'll try to sell him again. And then if he says no, she'll leave, and then she'll come back again and still act like he hasn't said no to her. And I don't remember how many times he said that she would do that, but it was over and over and over. She just doesn't act like, I mean, especially if the club is slow and she has nothing to lose, instead of going to sit in the dressing room or something like that, which a lot of girls tend to do. He said she's one of the highest money makers, and that works really well for her. So I'm about to head down to Florida next week, and I'm going to be working at one of the clubs there. So I'm going to give a lot of different things a try. I think I'm going to go into experimentation mode and try out a lot of things and see what works and what doesn't work. And
I think that's a huge thing too, is just kind of like experimenting with things. Like,
yeah, plus it's fun. It can be fun.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, make it fun, you know? I think that's great, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't make it fun, like, I think it's important to make it fun. Sometimes after selling customers, I don't know if you've tried this yet or not, but I've noticed, at least for me, I find it super interesting to, after you're done dancing with them, to just ask them, like, what was it that made you want to dance with me? There's a lot of other girls here, like, why me? And get the answer and find out, because you could have qualities to yourself that you might not even realize. And if you keep getting the same answer consistently, you can really enhance those qualities or make them more obvious or use them more to sell people more. So.
Absolutely. I asked a few people that last night, and so I got I got the response back. I do get it's either my outfit or my hair, because I do have short hair. Like, it's very short. It's more like a boy cut.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
I'm happy to hear that, because I'm about to cut mine off. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, so I'm happy to hear that. That's cool.
Yeah, and I just have, I guess I have a different look. Like, I don't know, but I've kind of always been told that too. I have a different look.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so, I use that. I'm still, and I'm still, very new too, So
yeah, you're super new. And you sound like you're doing great already.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's extremely impressive.
Yeah.
Do you try to average an amount hourly, or just kind of as much as you can?
You know what? I haven't really applied anything like that yet.
Yeah.
Which I do think I will take. I'll look at doing that more, I think, in the future. But for right now, I'm still just kind of feeling it out and finding, what ways work for me, and still kind of just talking to people of, what makes me stand out. And really learning, trying to learn as much as I can about how I can, promote myself the best.
Yeah. I love that you just said that, promote yourself the best, because I think that that's super important. I've been thinking about different ways that girls can keep in touch with customers outside of work. Not necessarily that anybody or everybody would want to do that, but there can be so much extra money that could be made from these guys outside of work. So, for example, go on.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, one of your other videos that I listened to about how, you have, there's guys that'll buy you stuff and stuff like that, and how it's really important to, be responsible with your money and not spend it. So, obviously, when I was younger, I went through, I needed everything that was, name brand, trendy, all that stuff. But, really, it's such a waste of money.
Oh, my God, it's awful.
If it was gifted to me, then that's a different story, but I would never actually go out and spend, $2,000 on a dress.
Right. Oh, my God, yeah.
$1,000 on a pair of shoes. That's just not practical for me. And to be honest, if a guy was going to buy that for me, sure, it would be nice, but I would rather have the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, here's something to keep in mind is some customers won't be as happy about giving you money as they would about getting you stuff. So, which sucks. It does. It sucks. But I had a customer, my longest customer, the first few nights he came in, he gave me a shitload of money. And then after that, he came back in and he was like, listen, this is really fun, but, I would really like to see you outside of here. And it was like, all right, well, I know how that works, and that's not good. So how about you take me shopping instead? And I still made just as much, if not more money from him going shopping with him. But here's something I would definitely say for sure is, you know, as ridiculous as this sounds, or I don't know how this is going to sound, but don't, I mean, I don't know, do whatever you want, but I wouldn't take advantage of them and buy a bunch of shit you don't care about. So if they're going to spend a lot of money on you, go find a gorgeous necklace that you're going to want to keep forever, or a bracelet or earrings or something that's, that's really expensive that you're absolutely going to love. But picking up stuff here and there just because it's expensive and it's okay, it's all right, but you're just getting it just because, I think most people would end up regretting that. But going out and being like, okay, no, I absolutely love this and I really want it, I think that kind of thing will make you happy, as opposed to being like, oh, I'll get that just because so and so's paying for it. Plus, accumulating stuff is very draining, I find. I find it to be very draining, especially if you,
Absolutely.
yeah, and if you like move around or travel. It's I don't know, something about it I just don't like. So getting stuff that you absolutely love and not acquiring a bunch of materialistic bullshit, really, is what it is, tends to be better. Or you could even have them buy you plane tickets. If you have guys that want to spend money on you, but they don't necessarily want to give you cash, because that will happen. Get them, plane tickets or hotels or stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do besides just going shopping. So, man, there's so many different ways to make money off of customers. There's so many different ways. There's a guy that I met a long time ago, actually, on What's Your Price. Have you seen that site yet?
Well, I just know about it from your video.
Okay, the site is awesome. I mean, it's really something else. I don't know if it's popular at all in Canada or not, but I walked away from stripping for a really long time because of that site. I mean, I would have guys pay me $150 to go to lunch with them, and I'd keep my clothes on, and I would just enjoy lunch and have fun with these guys. And it wasn't like, they're not paying you to hook up with them. They're paying you to go on a date with them. And I met this one guy that I had a lot of fun with. Hardcore, country guy, super southern gentleman. Absolutely adorable. And he messaged me and he was like, I'm going to Mexico and I don't want to go by myself. Do you want to go with me? He said, I'll give you $1,000 to go with me for I think it was 4 days or something like that. And this guy was such a gentleman on our date. I was like, I couldn't possibly imagine him trying anything. And I told him, I said, listen, I would really like to go, but I don't want there to be any type of expectation whatsoever. I mean, I would like to go and hang out with you and talk and we can drink and stuff like that. I said, but I'm not going to hook up with you. There is not going to be that kind of dynamic going on there at all. And he was like, that's okay. He was like, I don't want to go by myself, but I really need a vacation. And he was so genuine about it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go. And I think it was, I don't know if it was the day before he ordered my plane ticket or what it was, but I ended up calling him and I was like, listen, I think I should back out because I'm worried that you're going to change your mind, or we're going to get there and you're going to be frustrated if nothing happens, or, or whatever. And he goes, no. He goes, no. He goes, nothing like that's going to happen. And if we get there and you decide that you're uncomfortable, I'll get you your own room and whatever. Because we were in the same room, but we had different beds. And I went and I had a great time. He didn't not once try to hit on me or anything. We just went and hung out and it was a great time. And I made $1,000. And I went to Mexico. Stayed at a nice resort.
I think that absolutely, there's so many different ways to make money, and people really need to explore all the options.
Yeah.
But again, I think really, really stick sticking to your guns about being clear. Like, listen, there isn't going to be any sort of sexual relationship between us.
Yeah.
And be very, very clear about that.
Yeah. Crystal.
And what your boundaries are, because, for instance, like last night, so again, there was like one customer left in the bar. He, started talking to me, and he said, like, would you come to my house? So I said, I thought about it, right? And he said, how much for you to come to my house? And I said, like, my price. And, but I said, I made it so clear, like, listen, I'm not going to have sex with you. I'm not going to give you a blowjob, hand job. There's going to be none of that.
Right.
Anyways, he said, okay, how about I made him give me like a couple $100 before I went there. And then he said, if he's enjoying our time, then he'll pay me more money, and I would stay till like 10 a.m. or something like that. So anyways, he gave me the couple $100. I went to his house, and now it was about like the hour or so was up. And so I said, well, like, what are you wanting to do? Are you wanting to still hang out, or, have fun? Like, tell me what. And so anyways, then he tried to get me to like have sex with him, but there was a serious language barrier. Like, he was from Uzbekistan, and but I made it so clear, and like the guy's name, I'm not going to say his name, but I was just like, telling him, I was like, no, we talked about this so in depth. You knew nothing was going to happen, so whatever. I mean, I hopped in an Uber and left.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, that was fine. A couple $100 for an hour of my time.
Right.
No problem. But it would have been like, you really, really have to make it very, very clear. Like,
yeah.
Because there's, like, guys will try to pull that stuff, but don't get me wrong, like, sometimes there are positive experience. Like, I'm not going to say sometimes. Like, I'm going to say there's a good amount or a good balance, you know what I mean? Like, there's the good and the bad, but there is the good and the bad, So
yeah.
just be very clear, and you can have great experiences, but, sometimes there will be that one that gets in there.
Yeah. And the language barrier thing is very important to point out, because guys seem to have very selective hearing. I guess it seems like a lot of guys have very selective hearing. So to be very, very, very clear, is super, super, super important. Because you don't want to lead them on. You certainly don't want to make them mad. Like, if you were to have toyed with him a little bit and kind of made it sound like something was going to happen, and then he gave you money, and then you went back to his house, and then you were like, no, nothing's going to happen, he might have gotten angry, and you do not want to make somebody angry, especially while you're at their house with nobody around. So,
absolutely.
So what made you feel comfortable enough? I don't even know if that's a good question. I've noticed some guys are starting to listen to my podcast too, so I don't even know if that's a good question to ask. But did you trust that everything was going to be okay, or?
You kind of have to have, like, there is a bit of blindness to it, because, I mean, people could say, I could say that I'm 84 and I'm a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people can lie, but, he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
He actually was a nice guy. It was just, there was a serious language barrier, but I know that he knew that we weren't going to do anything, and then exactly as you said, the tunnel vision happened, and whatever, right? He wanted more for what I wasn't going to give him.
Right.
Anyways, but, he kind of told me a bit of a backstory, like, sort of like what was going on in his life, but his mother-in-law lived in the basement.
Oh my God.
So she was there. Now, I know that sounds really bad.
No, honestly, I feel like that sounds better, because that's, like, if you scream, the mother-in-law's downstairs,
exactly.
I would have felt more safe that way.
Exactly. I just meant like that because of his wife. But no, his wife and him split up, and that's why he was at the club. He said he's never even been to the club. He doesn't even know,
Yeah.
And he did. He seemed very uninformed about the way things work, and he didn't really have any idea of what was going on,
Yeah.
Or, like, how it worked. But no, his mother-in-law being there was definitely the thing that was, like, made me feel a bit more safe going.
Interesting.
And it was like, because exactly, like, when him and I, so eventually when he was like, no, we'll just go upstairs or whatever, and I was like, no, absolutely not. And I started to get, like, a more assertive tone.
Yeah.
And then he started, he was, like, backpedaling and, like, trying to get me to, I wasn't yelling or screaming or anything like that, but I was definitely like more firm
Yeah.
and not beating around the bush, you know. And then he, so we ended up, you know, I just ended up leaving, and then that was it.
Have you by any chance seen my stripper safety video?
I probably have.
It's about
No, I've watched so many of your videos.
That's awesome. That's super cool to hear. It's about changing their customers' state of mind. And it's not, yeah. So if you were to be in a bad situation, like doing something fucking random to make them, and usually, I think a huge portion of the time, you'd be best off asking a question, because when you ask a question, and this works for children too, like if there's a little kid that's crying uncontrollably, if you ask the kid, hey, what color is that? The kid'll, their mind starts to turn, their wheels start to turn to be like, well, oh, it's that color. They go into this, I need to come up with an answer thing. So if you were to ask a super random question, like, hey, what's the most disgusting food you've ever eaten? Like, if you can tell that the person is starting to get that tunnel vision and they look like sex has just consumed their brain and that's all they can think about, and all of a sudden you're like, shit, I could be in a bad position right now. And if you can feel it, asking them questions or just saying something super random and changing their state of mind, I gotta admit, that's gotten me out of some situations that I could have seen going south really quickly. And then excusing yourself. So like, you know, if all of a sudden you feel like you could be in danger, doing something like that, and then waiting until they, you know, they kind of snap out of it, and then, you know, telling them, oh, I had such a great time with you, I really need to get going, you know, blah, 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 and then get out. Because you don't want to wait for round 2. You don't want to wait for them to get back into that, snap back into it. Because it could be 5 seconds before they're like, okay, I really want to fuck her or something. So, super, 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 super important. Because guys are so much stronger than us. They really are. Like, it's really weird, honestly, like how, like, strong they are.
Genetically, they're just built. I know, it's definitely... It is weird, because, I mean, even, like, you take a guy that's maybe, like, 5'6", 5'7", you know, they had a decent build on them, they could still overpower a woman that's, like, 6 foot.
Yeah, it's crazy. My little sister was walking with this guy when she was probably, I think, maybe 14 or something like that. She was walking with a guy that was her size, maybe smaller than her. And they're walking down the street. He was a friend of ours, nobody intimidating or whatever, but they're walking down the street, and he literally grabbed her side and picked her up and put her straight over his head. Like, held her sideways over his head. No warning, no anything, just picked her up and held her over his head. I was like, how the fuck did he do that? And she goes, I have no idea. I mean, he's such a small guy. You would just never have seen that coming. So, yeah, very important to stay super aware of all of that. I didn't realize how strong guys were until I was walking with a friend of mine, and just a guy from work, and this was a long time ago. It was certainly not a strip club. And super skinny guy, super lanky looking dude. Didn't look like he had a single muscle in his body, really. And we're walking and talking about something, and we're just joking. And he looks at me. I don't even remember what we were talking about at this point, because this shocked me so much that I don't even recall what we were talking about. But he looked at me and he goes, what did you say? And he pushed me, and it was playing around. But I almost fell over, and I couldn't believe how strong it was. I was like, that's the very first time I remember being like, holy shit, guys are really, really strong. Like, they're really strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So learning how to protect ourselves and to avoid situations or to be able to get out of situations, I think is incredibly important. And I think it should be a topic all of its own on how to defend yourself. Something that I will say that my mom preaches. I'm going to let you go here in a minute. I know you're probably, are you at your club yet?
I literally just pulled up.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to say this one more thing, and then I'm going to ask you one more question. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so my mom has told me this over and over and over, and I know she's right. If a guy gets aggressive with you and you don't know what to do, and they're in front of you, and you think he's gonna hurt you, I do believe that this could actually kill somebody. I don't know that that's true or not, but I know it can do some serious damage. If you take the palm of your hand and punch them in the nose going upwards, like moving their bone in their nose towards their brain, that can immediately shut someone down immediately. Like, I really think you can kill
Yeah.
somebody doing that, but that's probably the easiest way that you could stop somebody immediately. If you're like, hey, fucking stop, and they don't stop, you could stop somebody immediately from doing that. So, okay, so last question. What would you say to girls that are thinking about trying this out that are really afraid to do so?
I would say, number one, ask yourself what makes you so scared. Whether it be, whatever. Find a way to come to terms with it or make yourself feel comfortable with it, right? And then you just have to find the motivation and like what's motivating you to do it. You know what I mean? Money drives me. Money drives me to do a lot of stuff. Not that I, do anything sexual or anything.
Yeah, well, you got 2 jobs already, so yeah.
Pardon?
You got 2 jobs already, so now you got 3.
So like you do. You just have to find like what made you even think of it in the first place. Don't be shy. Don't be nervous. I mean, it's gonna happen, but just do it. Like, don't procrastinate. That's one thing that I actually really, really regret that I did, because like I said in the beginning, I have been thinking about it for years, and you know what? I would have made so much money had I have done it when I first thought about it.
Right.
And don't be insecure. Just do it. Find you have to find your own sort of style and your inner sexiness and embrace that. Just embrace who you are.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Natasha. I absolutely loved this. I really appreciate it. I was super lethargic when we first got on the phone. I just ate some organic chocolate cake and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm so sleepy. So,
yeah, no worries.
Yeah,
no, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
This has been awesome. I really appreciate it. We'll go make a lot of money, and thank you again so much for this. I really appreciate it.
Heck yes. Thank you so much.
All right, have a great night, girl. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope that you had a fabulous time listening. If there's anything that you would like to ask questions about around this topic, please let me know. I hope that you're having a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you next time. Ciao.